Hello, my name is Alison Jirik, and I will be sharing information with you today about national replication and advancement. The advancement and replication team is small. At this point in time, it is just myself, Alison Jirik, the Director of National Replication, and I work in tandem with Lindsay Dolce, who is the Chief Advancement Officer. And together we work to bring our programs at our organization to new communities and states across the country. The photo that you're looking at right now is both of us in front of the State House in Sacramento as we were starting our replication efforts in California. So a general overview of our work. We lead efforts to bring our evidence-based programs to new states and communities across the country. We scale and replicate what works. We incubate programs at our organization, and when they have shown that they are effective, we replicate and scale in other communities. And a part of that work is really ensuring that we're building strong partnerships with those communities so we can expand and accelerate the impact of our organization nationwide. So, just a brief history of replication. As you may know, our program models and our organization had its beginnings in the state of Minnesota, where we started programs like Reading Corps, Math Corps, and Recovery Corps. So in 2003, when our programs began, it took about 10 years until we first replicated Reading Corps outside of Minnesota. So Reading Corps was first replicated in 2012 in Colorado, and Math Corps was first replicated in Michigan in 2017, and in 2021, Recovery Corps is being replicated in Illinois. Recovery Corps is the first time we will be replicating a non-education school-based program in a state outside of Minnesota, so we are very excited about that. So when we think about replicating our program models in new communities, one thing will be the same everywhere you go. We will have a consistent program model delivery. So in any state in the country, if you go and observe Reading Corps in action or Math Corps in action, that program model delivery will look the same. AmeriCorps members are trained, they're supported, they provide interventions and assessments, and we see children grow. So for example here, this shows our logic models for both Reading Corps and Math Corps. So no matter where you go in the country, what the kids get and what that looks like will look very similar, but the way in which we get those programs to those schools or those service sites can come in a multitude of ways. So we have two operational models to bring our programs to new communities. So first are our organizationally operated states. So these are states where we, so those of us here on staff with our organization, we implement those programs. And so we leverage our organization, the expertise in-house within our organization to replicate and scale. So you've got colleagues that are part of our organization that are based all across the country in different locations. And this is how we'll continue to grow and replicate our programs. We will go to new communities and we will hire new staff that will be part of our organization and will operate programming locally. Another operational model that we have in existence now, but we will not be increasing over time, is our license holders. So think of this as a franchise model. We have states and other organizations that sign an agreement with us and with Serve Minnesota, who created the proprietary materials for our program models, and they implement it locally. So we as an organization provide technical assistance and we charge them a fee to use our program model, our coaching, our training, our evidence, and they operate that way. So those are two ways in which we've been able to bring Reading Corps and Math Corps and now Recovery Corps to new states across the country. So of those two groups, the second group, those license holders, this is just a quick snapshot of those organizations that operate at this time Reading Corps and Math Corps through that license holder model. So the Literacy Lab has members serving in Kansas City as well as in DC and a few other communities in the Northeast. Michigan Education Corps operates Reading Corps and Math Corps across the state. Colorado Youth for a Change is located in Denver, and they operate Reading Corps and soon Math Corps. And the United Way of Iowa, they operate Reading Corps statewide, and the Southeast Education Cooperative, located in Fargo, operates Reading Corps and Math Corps across the state. So our organizationally operated states are California, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Minnesota, Mississippi, and Wisconsin at this time. So you have colleagues, co-workers that are based in each of these states that operate programming locally. So to bring that all together, here's just a quick map that shows you where those programs are operated. So in all of the states where you're seeing purple, that means both Reading Corps and Math Corps operate within those states. Red is for Reading Corps and blue is for Math Corps, and you'll see green for Recovery Corps. So as you can see, we have a variety of places where our programs have been replicated, and over years and over time, our goal is to continue to scale in each of those locations and continue to bring additional program models once we've proven their effectiveness and if there's a community need. So when Lindsay and I work together to think about where we can replicate our programming, we really think about these success factors. So these success factors include having a funder identified. Who is the state, the community, the foundation that will provide the match funding to the AmeriCorps funding that we would try to obtain in order to operate the programming. So first we need to have someone who's going to put a stake in the ground, be a part of the partnership, and provide the initial funding. We also are looking for strong and committed community partners. So if we're going to go into a new state, we really rely on those partners to work with us to implement our program. So we're always looking for a school district or a foundation or collective impact groups or state agencies like a Department of Education that really want to see our programs implemented locally. So not only is it the funding, but it's the partnerships. And along with that is elected officials willing to advocate. So we want to make sure that we have political support as well, because that can aid in awareness as well as funding. So when we start in a new state, usually we have some foundation or private funding to get us started, and then we hope to build towards having a state appropriation locally to sustain and grow our programs over time. So along with that, we're looking for a structure or a mechanism for statewide scaling. If we go to one community or one school district, we want to think about how can we set ourselves up to scale the programs, not just in that one community, but through a network of other communities, other counties in which we can increase our impact and increase our footprint within a state. Additionally, in the first year of implementing a program model in a new state, we start with about 30 members in our first year of implementation, and we hope to grow and expand from there. So again, just quickly back to the folks that are doing this work on the front end. So my colleague Lindsay Dolce, she's the Chief Advancement Officer and is based out of Serve, Minnesota in Minneapolis and is an employee of our foundation. She does the initial vetting of potential replication locations to ensure those success factors that I just shared. And what that means is fundraising. So she is responsible for the fundraising when we go into new states. So she is thinking about state funding, local funding, private funding. What is it going to take to be able to start programming in a new location? So she really builds those initial partnerships, and I do that work alongside her. So while she is securing those local or state grants or funds, I work in tandem with our grants team on the federal grants, so the AmeriCorps grants. And I also collaborate with other staff like our finance team to put together the budgets and prepare prepare for what it will take organizationally to start programming in a new state. So I also work on visiting those communities, getting to know them, and hiring staff locally to do the implementation in that state. And I also provide support and work with the learning and training team and other departments to provide that technical assistance to those license holders. So again, we're not on staff and operating their programs, but we are providing them support, a community of practice, access to our data systems and program model to provide that support. So I help facilitate that community of practice as well as the agreements with those license holders to ensure that they can implement our program models with fidelity. So I want to thank you for joining our organization. We're so excited that you're here. Please do reach out if you have any questions, and thank you for your support and understanding as we learn about different parts of the organization. And I'm excited to get to know you better and continue to work with you as we expand programming to new communities. Thank you.